only counts as one.
Now for the Legolas build, I kind of wanted him to be able to do just about everything possible that a one-handed bow could do. And since he's pretty much the best archer in Lord of the Rings, at least in my opinion, I might as well make him the best archer possible in Elden Ring. And with that, I just added 4 bows onto the build, each with each skill. So for the first one, and this is pretty much the main one you're going to want to use, especially during bosses, I have it on a red branch short bow with Barrage. Barrage is going to allow you to shoot like 4 or 5 arrows at once, and then you can run away and shoot 4 or 5 more. The damage actually builds up pretty decently, and with the type of arrows that you're using, you can actually do a lot more damage than you'd expect. For the second red branch bow, I have Mighty Shot on there. That's just going to be your one big powerful shot, and if you're trying to maybe stance break or, maybe add up that bleed a bit more, just, throw a Mighty Shot into there. And for the third one, I used a longbow, and that kind of matches the bow he was actually using in the movie a bit more. And I put Enchanted Shot on there, allowing him to basically hit every target like he would in the movie. Now the fourth bow, this one's just kind of more for fun. It's the Sky Shot. He shoots it up into the air, and if the target isn't moving, it's just going to hit him right on the top, and it's pretty funny. Now, for the most part, you're probably just going to end up using Barrage. Now, the other ones do have their own benefit in certain circumstances. But usually I just like to run away and dodge, do 3 or 4 hits real quick, and then just try to dodge and more focus on survivability. Now, for the chest piece on the armor that we'll be using, I just went with the Guardian Garb. This one actually just looks the most Elven in my opinion. For the gloves, trailers, manchettes, those actually looked pretty good. And for the pants, the Albert's trousers, those ones look the best. But I'd also like to know what armor you would choose for the Elven look, so put that in the comments below. Now onto the Talismans, and that Lord of Blood's Exaltation is really good. Using those bleed arrows is just really beneficial. I mean, most stuff bleeds, not everything, and those are the times when, you're going to probably take off that talisman, replace it with probably an elemental one that you're going to benefit from instead. Now the Arrow Sting Talisman is really good, raising that attack power of arrows and bolts, just giving you that extra attack power that you need, You don't want to be doing less than 100 damage per hit. Might as well do at least 120 instead, or 140. Maybe a little more. Sometimes you hit 180 on those barrage shots. Now this one's pretty beneficial. The Green Turtle Talisman is going to allow you to just keep running away, keep dodging, and then once you're out, you can do 3 or 4 shots and then keep going again and again. That recovery speed is going to go up real quick, especially with the Crystal tier to boost that up as well. Now I found the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. There's the regular Sword Insignia working out really well. That's going to greatly raise your attack power with successive attacks. And considering you're going to be doing like 4 or 5 barrage shots, you're going to pretty much get this every single time you're doing it. So those last couple of shots are going to do a little bit more damage. Now, as I said before, you can take out that bleed one if it doesn't benefit you in that situation. You can put on that Kindred or Rot's Exaltation, or you could use one of the other elemental ones, fire, lightning, holy, or magic. All of them are pretty good. Just depends on what arrows you're using at the time. So be aware and try to switch them out. Now for the Crystal tier, that Green Burst Crystal tier, that's really, really good. It's going to raise that stamina recovery, and it's going to stack with that Turtle Talisman. So it's going up really, really quickly. That allows you to just run away, do a bunch of barrage shots, run away, barrage shot, run away. Keep rinsing and repeating, and you'll beat that boss. The other one that actually helps you a lot is that Thorny Crack tier, raising attack power with consecutive attacks. And considering you're going to be doing about 4 or 5 attacks on the barrage, like I said, you're going to be raising that attack power along with that other talisman that's going to be doing the same. Now for the Great Rune, that Godric's Great Rune is probably the best one you're going to be able to use in this situation. Just giving you plus 5 points and all the stats, it just helps a little bit, I guess, right? Now, let's get into the arrows, because it's going to have to be an entire section by itself. So to start out, there's going to be 2 different kinds of arrows that you're going to be kind of focusing on. The ones that you can buy and the ones that you can create. Now, there's select ones that you can buy. These are going to be the fire arrows, the holy arrows, the magic arrows, the poison arrows, and the regular arrows. These ones, if you just pretty much kill the merchants that are holding them, put them over to the Twin Maiden Husk, and then you got them all in one area, then you can just buy them however you want. They're pretty cheap, so you can just keep stocking up whenever you need and just never run out at that point. Now, for the ones you want to craft, there's a lot of good spots you can go just to farm. For the Blood Roses, you can go to Fort Height. And for a lot of the other good materials, you could just go to Jarburg and just run around and grab all that stuff. And it's actually really easy just to get the feathers you need for the fletched, and it's highly advisable just to always use the fletched. They're going to go a little bit farther and do just a little bit more. And it's really easy just to get the feathers. You can go from the Church of Ella and just go slightly west and just kill all those birds over there. You'll get a ton of the materials you'll need, and you can get the fletched ones up. Those are going to be really, really beneficial, especially when you're all the way across the arena from the boss. You want to be able to hit them still without all that drop down, because then you're going to have significantly less damage. Now, most of these arrows are going to be pretty situational depending on the boss. You know, whatever their weakness is, maybe throw on that elemental. Otherwise, you're pretty much just going to want to use the poison ones. Using the rot ones is obviously going to be the better choice, but getting the crafting material for that, the Aeonian butterflies, is a real pain. You have to kill a bunch of basilisks in the Lake of Rot, and it's not fun. And you could just buy the poison arrows for 120 runes, so you could just stack up and be completely full, maxed out on capacity with the poison. And you only really need to poison them just a little bit to boost that attack power if you have that talisman on. And then you're just going to be using bleed arrows for the most part. The bleed arrows are going to be the best thing you can use against bosses. Now, obviously, not every single boss is going to bleed, but the ones that can bleed, oh boy. You do about 4 or 5 barrage shots. That first one is going to bleed on pretty much every go. And then it'll probably take about 8 more arrows before you'll get the next bleed. But believe me, you're just running around. You're doing about 4 or 5, run around 4 or 5 more. Then it bleeds. Boom, big damage. So if you're pretty much going to be going for an archery build, it's highly advisable to get to the merchant to be able to buy those poison arrows and just buy all of them, be fully stacked all the time on the poison arrows. And then always have those bleed arrows. Those bleed arrows are just greatly beneficial, just chunk anything out really easily, as long as it has blood inside of it, right? One thing to notice too, you can use those sleep arrows. Those are actually really fun as well, but be warned, you might shoot too many sometimes and you'll put it to sleep and then accidentally wake it up instantly. Now, onto the stats. I have Vigor up to 50, giving me a pretty much good amount of health that I felt comfortable with. Mind, I have it 20, and you don't really need to put it up that high at all, considering Barrage only uses 2 FP per shot. You have 60 shots before you need to refill. That's a lot. Endurance is up at 39. Gives me a good amount of stamina just to keep shooting as many arrows as possible. Like I said, it gives you about 4 or 5 shots and then you can run away, get back your stamina a bit more, shoot 4 or 5 more, run away. You just always have plenty of stamina all the time, especially with that recovery speed. Dexterity, I got capped out. That's just for the damage. Try to max that out as much as possible. And considering we're using bows, they don't do a whole lot of damage. So it's either try to just stack a whole bunch of damage right on top of each other real quick, or try to do one big meaty shot, which, you know, doesn't really work as well as you think, especially with these smaller bows. As you can see, strength, intelligence, faith, arcane wasn't even touched. Now, how do you use this build? Well, I pretty much told you how to use it a lot during this video. You shoot barrage a lot, you run away. You shoot barrage a lot, you run away. It's a coward pretty much approach to it, but you know, well, what are you supposed to do? You have a bow. Are you gonna sit right inside of their butthole and try to shoot them? I mean, you can try, but it's not gonna work out for you as well as you hope. I will say though, I actually did enjoy this build for how much you're cowarding out and just shooting a couple of arrows and running away. It made me feel like I actually wanted to do an entire playthrough with it on another go and just kind of have fun with it. And I wouldn't say that about most of the crafting in any game. It's not real fun to do a lot of crafting, but for some reason, if you can do the right build, yeah, crafting in Elden Ring can actually be not as tiresome. Well, I hope you liked this Legolas build. I know I did. Let me know in the comments below what other characters I should do, and I'll do my best to make them viable.
I'm on 17!
Ah! I don't know! Pointy arrow scoring me!